Hello, this is a basic tutorial for using the Autocad software to create a sitemap for your NAHB project. In this tutorial, we will cover where to download the base file, how to open that file, how to draw and create the sitemap, and how to create an image that can be presented in your project. Alright. So step one is downloading the file. So I already have it installed, but I'll show you what to do. So the main thing when downloading the file is you need to go to the NAHB site, and depending, your teacher should give you a link, and depending on what year you're using, it may be different from mine, but for me, for the 2020 competition, I clicked important materials, and there's a shared Google Drive that we can all go to, and you need to find a file that is a .dwg file extension. This is important because that's the kind of file that Autocad can open. So now I'll click on that. I'm going to download this, and then I'm going to open it. So if you click on it, it should just open, and it might give you this reference depending on if you have the student version or not, but just click open anyways, and you're going to get this. This is what they give you initially. Okay, so if your file does not open when you click open, make sure you have an Autocad software installed that's relatively new, because they usually give you a pretty new Autocad file. That one's from 2013, so if you have a version that's older than 2013, you will not be able to open the file. So if your file does not open when you click open, and you have Autocad installed and everything should be good, what you can do is you can go into the Autocad software, click open drawing, and then it'll prompt this. So you want to go to your downloads, which is probably where it'll be, wherever the file that you just downloaded is located. And then you'll want to click on that and click open. In this section of the video, we are going to go over how to pan, how to zoom, and how to select objects. So first thing, I would suggest you get a mouse with a scroll wheel that works and that you can click in, because it makes this much more simpler. I'll show you the other way if you only have a trackpad available, but it's a lot easier to use it with the mouse, and I highly suggest it. So when panning, if you have just a trackpad and you need a pan on Autocad, right click, go down to pan, and then you can use your left click and hold your left click down, and you can pan around. So this is how you pan, and it's pretty easy. You'll figure it out. You'll get used to it. But if you have a mouse, the easiest way to do pan is to just click in the middle mouse wheel button. This is default, and it'll let you do it. So if you just click in the middle mouse wheel button, you can pan around. And the next command to actually move around and look at objects in your CAD file, that's really important, that you'll use a lot, is zoom. When you zoom in on an object, for example, you need to look at this line in particular, this one right here. You just simply scroll in and out with the scroll wheel. If you don't have a scroll wheel or you're using a trackpad, you can also do the same thing with the pan. You right click on the screen anywhere in this area, and you click zoom. Now when you click it, you hold your left click down and you go up to zoom in and go down to zoom out. So I can keep going in further in and further out using my left click. Last thing I want to talk about in this section is selecting objects. So the easiest way to select objects is just to click on them. If you left click on an object, it will select it, and you can just keep clicking. This is very easy if you just need to select one object, and it's good to know. So to deselect objects, you press escape and it will stop selecting them. And if you need to select a bunch of objects, there's two different kinds of things you can do. So there's a window, there's a blue window, and then there's a green window. The blue window, you simply left click and move your cursor, and you move it to the right of where you clicked, and that'll give you a blue window. The blue window only select objects that are completely within the window itself. So see how it doesn't select any objects even though I'm on the lines. And then once I get that one line fully in, it will select it. And then if I get the next line fully in, it will select it. And then I just left click again, and those two objects are selected. The green window is a little bit different. So you just left click and you move it to the left, and it will select any objects that are within the limits. So those two objects are selected even though they're not fully within the box. So that's how you do that. And one thing to do if you're using Windows, do not hold the left click because this will give you 3D selection, and I don't really know how to use that, and you don't need to know how to use that for the sitemap. To actually get started in your Autocad file, now that you have it opened and everything, the first thing you want to learn is layers. Right now we have a bunch of crap on here that we don't need at all. So to actually build the sitemap, you're not going to need these contour lines, and you're not going to need this map. So I'm going to show you how to get rid of those without actually just deleting them off the file. So the first thing you need to learn is the layers. In AutoCAD, this is the main way you can switch from different things and show different objects and all that sort of stuff. And you can find more tutorials online that are a little bit more informative than mine. For this section, I'm just going to show how to freeze layers, and I'm going to show how to create a layer. So to freeze a layer, you want to click on the layer you want to freeze, just any line that in that layer that you don't want to show. You click on it. It's going to tell you what layer it is. So this layer is C Topo Minor. I don't want that to be on the screen. It's distracting and I can't do my work. So then you click the little down arrow, and right here you can freeze or thaw all layers. So we want to freeze it, and it will no longer appear on the screen. And that way it's out of the way and you can keep working. To create a layer, like let's say you want to create a roadway layer for your sitemap. Go into Layer Properties. You need to click this little button right here with what looks like a sun next to it, and it'll create a new layer. So I'm just going to name my layer roadway, and I can also change a bunch of different things, like whether it's frozen, on or off, unlocked, locked, but that's not very important. And I want to change the color, so you can change it to any of these colors. I usually just use these ones down here, and I'm going to make it cyan. Click OK, and you can change the line type also, but for this example I'm only going to show changing the color. Now once you have that, you just click the X, get out of that tab, and I need to find my roadway layer, which is right here. So to find it, you just go back to here, you click on the down arrow again, and you should have it come up. So roadway, and now I can draw lines and other objects within this layer, and it will be blue. And if I click on it, it'll say, if I select it, it'll say roadway up here. And that's how you do that.
In this section of the video, we're going to cover object snaps, and ortho mode. Okay, so these two items are just part of CAD, and they're very important when you're like selecting items or drawing things. So ortho mode essentially means it's only going to let you draw in 90-degree angles. So it doesn't matter, it's going to snap to a 90-degree. This is really good for like creating lots and stuff. So if I want to create a lot that's 200 feet by 100 feet, I just type in 200, press enter, and oh, that's really small. Let me zoom in. Then I click, type 100, enter, 200, enter, and then 100, enter. So now I have a perfect 200 by 100 foot lot that I can move around. Now if you want, when you want to turn this off, you basically just click on ortho mode again, and now I can move it wherever I'd like, and I'm not restricted to anything. Okay. Now the object snaps are basically, right now I have them all turned off. They're basically those little green squares that you've been seeing throughout the video. So if I turn those on and I want to click a line, that's your object snap, that little green square that pops up at the endpoint. Now you can control where those object snaps are in this little drop down menu right here. If you click this, you have endpoint, which is the endpoints of lines. You have midpoint, which is the midpoint of a line. So if I go to try and build another line, the midpoints show up as a little triangle, and you can snap to that if you need to draw a line there. Next one, center. So that's if you have a circle or anything, it'll show you the center of the circle. Sometimes you have to zoom out really far. It's kind of weird how that works. And I can snap to that, and that'll be the center of the circle. And the next one, geometric center and node shouldn't be that important. Quadrant is a good one to have on, because that, if you have any circles or anything, it allows you to select on the 4 sides of the circle, and they come up as little diamonds. Next one, intersection, pretty self-explanatory. It comes up as a little X, and it'll let you select an intersection of 2 lines. Perpendicular is a good one too, for like snapping. So I want to draw a line, and I want it to snap over here. Let me turn. So see that little perpendicular green? That is perpendicular to the other line. And let's see. Those are really all the ones you need to know. The rest won't be used very much. And that's it for object snaps and ortho mode.
Now that we understand how to open the file, we understand how to create and freeze layers, and we understand how to select objects, we can actually start building our sitemap. And to do this, you're going to need to know a list of commands. And the first one I'm going to show is delete, because I don't want this map. It's distracting and it makes it hard to draw in my actual sitemap that's listed here. So I want to click on it, select it. You can do this with the windows, and it's selected, and you can right click and you can click erase. Or what I find a lot easier is just to press the delete key, and it'll get rid of the object. So the next command you need to learn is line. So to do this, you can click line up here, and then you can draw a line. It doesn't really, that's one way to do it. What I find easier is to just anywhere on the screen, as long as you're not selecting something, just click line and then click enter, and you will be able to draw a line just like clicking it up there, up at the top left of the screen. So I'm gonna select these objects because I don't want them here. Make sure when you're using the erase command that you have only the objects you wanted to delete to selected, or else it'll delete every object that's selected. So click delete. It didn't select that one for some reason, so just select it and delete it. Let's say I delete a bunch of lines that I don't want to delete. So to fix this, you can go up to the top left of the screen and click undo, and that'll just eliminate your last task you did. So let's say you deleted a couple items on accident and you want to bring them back, but you've been panning and zooming around and you just realized that. You can just keep clicking the undo until it comes back, and then it'll be back. You might have to redo some work if you realize that you erased something you needed late, but it's a lot easier than trying to rebuild stuff. Alright, the next command you need to know is how to move an object. So let's say I have this line and I want to move it to connect it over here under this. So you first select it, and then you can either click up here, click move, or you can type M. Just type move anywhere on the screen, and you press enter, and then it'll ask where you want to move it from. So I just want to move it from the end, so I'll click the end where it's highlighted green and click that, and then I successfully moved the object. The next command that's pretty important is copy. So you can also do that up here. You don't have to. I usually just type CO because it's faster for me, but you can do it either way. You click enter, and it wants you to select the object you want to copy. Then you press enter again, and then you click your base point. So I want to copy it from the end point. I can make a bunch of copies of this line. So the next command that's going to be really important when you're designing your lots and your roads is offset. So let me just draw a lot that's 200 feet by 100 feet by 100 feet. And then just connect this up. So if I want another lot that's identical to this, I can copy it and move it over next to it. Just make sure you pick the right base point, and then you can create lots like that. Or you can do what I like to do, which is offset. So you type OF, click enter, and it'll ask the distance you want to offset. So just click whatever the distance, like let's say I want this line down here, I want it 100 foot that way. So I click 100, type in 100, click enter, and it'll ask what object I want to select. So I select that object, I click enter, and I can select it again. Now to get out of this offset menu, just click escape. I mean, if you're ever stuck in a certain menu, just click escape and you should get out of it. The next command I want to teach is arc. So you can do arcs up here, and that's basically like a line, but it's going to ask you for 3 points instead of 2. So you can also type in arc and then click enter, and it will do the same thing. And that's good for creating roadways with curves and stuff like that. So another really important command is called match attribute. I'm not sure how to do this one in the ribbon, so I'll just show it using the typing way that I know how to do. So let's say I create this line in a layer that I didn't want it to be in. If I want to make it the same as my roadway layer, I'll type M A and then click enter. It'll be match properties, press enter. It'll ask you to click the source object, so whatever you want this object to look like, you'll click one that looks like it. And then it'll give you a little paintbrush, and you can click on the other objects. And it'll change it to that layer or that line type or whatever you want.
Okay, so another command that's really important is rotate. I mean, you have all these other commands here that you can play with, like mirror, fillet, trim. All these other commands are important, but one that's going to be really important when you're building your sitemap is rotate. So to rotate an object, you click rotate in the ribbon, or you can just type RO in the screen like this. So not selecting anything, RO, press rotate. Then you select the object, you press enter. It's going to ask for a base point. You click whatever base point you want, and then it'll just let you rotate it however you want. Alright, so if you need a precise rotation, right? So let's say I need to rotate this line over to this line. What you can do is click rotate, click on it, press enter, specify your base point, and then before clicking anything else, come down to this little white thing where it says reference, click that. Now to specify your reference angle, you're basically just going to click on the line or whatever object you want to rotate, and then now it's going to hold it for you, and then you just go up to where you want to rotate it to and you click that snap, and then now they're both here. So there's that one and there's that one. Another command that's pretty important is trim. So trim, let me draw some lines. Let's say you have something like this where two cross and you only need this side of the object, right? So to trim, you click trim, and then you need to specify the objects you want to trim. So I want to trim both of these objects. So I do that, I click those, press enter, and then you can simply hover over the ones you want to trim, and it's only going to trim to the other line. So let's see, you click it again, then press enter, and now you've trimmed the line. Okay, so you finished drawing your sitemap, and it should look something like this. I mean, your colors and stuff might be different, but you really want your roadways and your lots depending on the restrictions in the project. So the best way to actually export this is going to be to print and then page setup, don't worry about that. Printer plotter, you can export it as a Bluebeam file, XPS documents, but I'm just going to show PDF. And for what to plot, we basically want to do window, and this will basically let us select what we want to actually show in our PDF. So you just left click and you draw a little window. It's just like the windows to select objects, same sort of idea. And I want to do that, so I've got my window, and you can preview it, and it'll show you basically what it looks like, the finished product, when you go to print it. And if you're satisfied with this, which I am, you just click X and you click OK, and it'll ask you where you want to save it. This is fine. and then it'll give you a final image. And if that's not what you want, just do the same thing again and change your window around till you get what you want, and then you can import this into your project. Alright, that's the end of the video. I hope this has helped some people. Thanks. Bye.